Hi, my name is Roger Clark from Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm here at MCM Comic-Con. I worked a lot with the animators, but sound design and the design aspect of the entire game, a lot of that work was done before we got on because, when we were doing the performance capture for it, we needed to know the environment that we were working in. So a lot of that was done beforehand. People like doing testing for bugs, QA, etc. I wouldn't have really dealt a lot with them, because they're two very different departments within the making of a game. But whilst we were working on the performance capture, a lot of the times it was what the animators could contribute to help inform the actor's performance was invaluable. They would say, "Come along." We'd go, "Where is this scene? Is it nighttime, daytime? Is it cold? Is it muggy with loads of bugs and all that?" And they would more often than not bring us around and show us on a computer screen what it was like, and that was so valuable. It really helped us do our job better because we were able to tell the story better and more accurately. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that audiences are getting more and more mature. I'm really the first generation that grew up on video games, from Pong in the 70s and whatnot to the Atari. And so I think as the audience gets more and more sophisticated, so does the story. And it was a real privilege to be able to work on a character as complex as Arthur. Because like you say, it's becoming more... With video games, you're an active participant as opposed to a passive spectator like with film or TV. So in many ways, my work's done for me because the player is automatically going to identify with Arthur because they are Arthur. But then there are other challenges too, because the way I deliver a line, the way I portray the character, it has to match and it has to fit however the player chooses to behave. So if they're a total bastard, or if they're as valiant as an outlaw can be, especially towards like the latter half of the game, like I was saying, where the player's style becomes more and more prominent and clear to the way it affects the story, I'd have to come up with a way to do the scene that would make sense for either situation, Hopefully I did. You'd have to learn which questions to ask, So for example, we would have, most of the time there would be two variances of a scene. So the dialogue or what would happen would be slightly different depending whether or not the player would have mostly high honor or mostly low honor. So I would compare and contrast the differences of those two scenes, and I'd ask myself, well, what would the player have had to do in order for this dialogue to have happened? And what would the player have to have done in order for this dialogue to have happened? And just trying to remember the fact that no matter which way it was done, for the player, it's the only way that they were going to see it. At least if they play it just once, anyway. So I was just trying to make it as authentic to whichever unique story the player themselves were having, because nobody plays the same game now. No one has the same storyline. There's millions of people out there playing this game, and no two journeys are identical, and that's the beauty of it. And that's why the attention to detail that they put into it was mind-boggling. So I was a little bit daunted by that. But in the end, what I kept reminding myself to try and just get my head down and concentrate on the task at hand was just to remind myself that people are complicated, And sometimes it's okay to contradict yourself and to do the opposite of what you said you were going to do the other day. Because people do that all the time. You just have to come up with a way in which to justify that motivation, Where people flip-flop all the time. All we have to do is turn on the telly these days, and it's not hard to find that, right? No matter what side of the aisle you're on,